Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or I guess for some of you, welcome to my channel for the first time if you've never been here. I haven't uploaded a video in like, oh god, it's been years. It's been years since I've uploaded anything to this channel. And it's probably kind of confusing for some of you because why am I uploading? Why did I upload? Why did I stop? What is this? What's going on? Basically, I don't really do makeup professionally anymore, and I stopped enjoying doing makeup on other people, and I stopped enjoying teaching makeup. I just started enjoying it purely just for myself and not so much for other people. The reason that I'm here right now is because there's a lot going on right now in my life. There's a lot going on personally, that sitting down from the camera and maybe talking to you guys, talking to some of my friends, and just kind of being honest and authentic about what's going on might be the best way to connect with you, and we'll see how it goes. But basically I figured I would kind of sit down today and I would answer some questions that I've been getting pretty much nonstop just from, you know, close friends and people in my circle and people on my social media. I am fortunate enough to have people that give a damn and that care about me, and sometimes keeping up with DMs and social media in general can be a little difficult for me. So what I am going to do is I am actually going to be putting on makeup today, which I know I just said that's something that I didn't think I would do, but I'm not going to be doing a tutorial. However, if you're interested in the things that I'm using, I will put them in the description bar down below. Mostly this is going to be more about content. So, you know, if you're not a makeup person, that's great. You can, you know, just listen and pretend that this isn't going on. But I really have enjoyed the past several years watching videos like this, like while I'm playing a game or while I'm cleaning or while I'm cooking. Like I just really enjoy listening to kind of like chill things passively in the background. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do today. But that was the longest intro of all time, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oh, I guess I should go ahead and talk about the obvious, because you're probably like, yo, Scarface, what the fuck's going on over here? Fiona, my darling cat, who I'm sure will make her appearance eventually. I don't know where she is. She's always within 5 feet of me, of course, but when I need her right now, she's nowhere to be found. She was sitting on my chest in bed the other day and something scared her. Literally nothing. Bones just jumped from one piece of furniture to another piece of furniture, to which Fiona's reaction was, oh, the world's ending. So she ran across my face, and I have that now. And I wasn't gonna put any makeup on it to kind of like let it heal and stuff, but I've kept it pretty clean, and I'm gonna put makeup on it now because okay, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you in as well so you can see what I'm doing if you care about that part. But mostly I'm just gonna kind of be rambling and talking and chit-chatting, so if you're not a person that enjoys your content to be ranty, rambly, and such, then you're not going to enjoy this video, and I'll see you later. But for those of you that do, I wrote down things I wanted to talk about in my handy dandy notebook. Oh. Okay, so for those of you that you know, follow me on social media and, you know, kind of keep in contact with me, you probably know there's just a lot going on right now. I've had a lot of health issues going on. I've had school shit going on. I've had work shit going on. It's just been it's been a hell of a year, you know. I feel like I say that every year. I feel like every year has all these challenges to which I'm like, man, I can't believe I made it through all this shit. I can't believe that I survived, that I am still here and still ticking. I made it another year to suffer more. No, I'm kidding. But this year was one of those years for sure. I started really struggling with my health a few months ago, really, and I didn't necessarily pay attention to my body very well. If you don't know, I mean, I'm sure you know if you know anything about me. I have lots of health issues. Maybe I could make something where I talk in detail about that or write it all down. I've got a lot wrong with me. I have several just autoimmune disorders and several chronic pain disorders, and you know, there's a lot that's going on. One of the things I was formally diagnosed with over the last year was fibromyalgia, which makes sense because they've thrown a word at me before. To be honest, I think they threw that at me for the first time in probably middle school or so. The only issue has been that I also have a autoimmune component to a lot of the things that's wrong with me. So basically it's just been a lot of blood work and a lot of medical tests and just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I finally found a doctor that's willing to listen to me, that's willing to actually try to figure out what the missing link is, trying to figure out what it is that I think that we've kind of been missing in the past. Looking back, even over like my childhood and being in school and middle school and high school, I was always really sick and always just really struggling with a lot health-wise. So, I mean, family-wise, everything. I just always felt like I was convincing people that I was sick and that people didn't really understand the pain that I was in and didn't understand why I was complaining so much and, you know, what was wrong. I think most of the time it was perceived that it's like, oh, you're a young person complaining about body pain. That's out of the normal. So I'm just going to assume that you're lying, or I'm just going to assume that you're doing it for attention. And that's really sucked. I've walked out of many a doctor's offices feeling very defeated and upset. I'm lucky because I have health insurance in a time where that's a privilege, not a right in America, you know. I have a doctor that's trying to figure some stuff out. In saying that, I am officially unemployed. I mean, hopefully before I upload this, I'll post something probably on Facebook a little more in detail about that. Yeah, I unfortunately decided that it was time to step away from my job, and you probably know this if you're watching this, but I worked at a local bar and grill just right down the street from my old apartment. My commute to work used to be about 5 minutes. It was wonderful, but I worked there for almost 2.5 years, and I started there when I was 21, and I'm about to turn 24, so it's kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie. It's really sad. I made a lot of friends working where I worked. I met my boyfriend there, I met my roommate there, I met all of my current friends there. So I wouldn't be anywhere that I am now had I not started there. And I feel like that job is what made me realize that I'm capable of taking care of myself and I'm capable of supporting myself. And you know, it kind of gave me that confidence in myself that I didn't really have before. You know, I really feared before I got that job just because nothing was working and my health was really bad and I wasn't able to keep anything down, and I just kind of thought I didn't know where my place in the world was, and I didn't know if I could support myself in this world. But you know, I did. That job gave me that. It gave me a sense of security in myself in my 20s that I don't think I would have gotten otherwise. And I mean, food and bev is it's a crazy industry, but man, like I always really do recommend it to people that need a abnormal work schedule, need to make more than minimum wage, but really can't afford to work 40 hours or more a week, you know, even though sometimes you do as a server. Don't get me wrong, I know lots of servers and bartenders that work 40 to 70 hours a week. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I really enforced a lot of boundaries on myself when I was working there as far as time and as far as my physical and mental energy. However, obviously, since I'm talking to you about the severity of this flare that I'm in, I didn't do it well enough. And if I'm honest, you know, I sat down and I talked to my manager, who was kind enough to allow me some time off to try to get well. But the reality is that I can't stand on my feet long enough to complete a shift anymore. That's hard to admit at 23 years old, that I can't stand. And by the way, I had worked my way up to working all lunchtime weekday shifts, which were great shifts, great money, and they were only 5.5 hours long. I couldn't stand that long because, you know, that's just where I'm at right now. That was hard. That was really hard to admit to myself. It took me, I think I've been out of work now for about 6 weeks to honestly to really admit to myself that I might not be able to go back and I might have to look for something else. And so that's what I'm doing, you know. I just finished, you probably know this too, but I just finished my second to last semester of undergrad. Gonna be graduating with my bachelor's next May, so that's cool. But yeah, I'm taking a few more weeks off to get strong, get healthy, and then we're back on the job hunt. And we'll see. Hopefully gonna be trying to do stuff from home. Maybe that means I can make more shitty content like this for you to hate. Yay! That's the update on that. Another thing I get asked about quite a lot is what I'm going to school for and where I go to school, because I live in Texas, but I post a lot of stuff about my school in New Mexico and people don't really understand what's going on. So I live in Texas. I live in the DFW Metroplex, Arlington right now to be specific. And I like it a lot. We just moved into this place a few months ago, me, my boyfriend, and my best friend, and it's been nice. It's been interesting adjusting to living with people again, you know, because I lived by myself for a while, but it's good. It's good all around just because I live with good people. Living with people kind of shows you what you could probably stand to work on in yourself, just because what annoys me in other people. If there's something that like really is frustrating me about honestly just anyone, I've kind of started to look introspectively and kind of see if that's because that's something that I struggle with myself. And you know, I mean, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is just a personality quirk that's different from mine and I kind of have to live and let live. What am I talking about? Where am I? Oh, I live in Texas and I go to school in New Mexico. I'm finishing my bachelor's at the new university that I started my bachelor's at. The reason that I decided to do that is because I wanted to finish online. I decided that was kind of like the best plan for me, especially like health wise, and I was working full time at the time when I started. So I wanted to go online and I was doing research about what was the fastest and cheapest way to finish this bachelor's so I could kind of move on to the next thing. And the answer was to finish online at my old school. So grad school wise, I'm probably gonna go somewhere up here because I have a lot more options here than I do at my university back home, which is in New Mexico. Yeah, and I go to school for psychology because a lot of people want to know that too. So yes, before you go on a rampage in your brain or in the comments about how I'm not gonna make money with my psychology degree, please know that I wasn't planning on making much money with that bachelor's in psych. You know, if I do kind of choose to pursue that professional vocation, if you will, I will go to grad school. I will likely do something in clinical psychology. What I really like to do is have a private practice and, you know, spend my life talking to you sweet people about things that I care about, like mental health and meditation and mindfulness and trauma and addiction and recovery and codependency. Those are my favorite things. They're dark and weird things. What else is kind of going on? I've been taking a social media cleanse. Some of you might already know that as well. I deleted all of the social media apps off of me cell phone. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still use like Snapchat. I actually re-downloaded Instagram because I was missing Instagram stories quite a bit. I enjoy watching Snapchat and Instagram stories. It's probably like my favorite thing to do on social media, to tell you the truth, because there's something just very authentic about it in a dumb way. Like, you know, it's hard. I mean, yeah, you have like filters and all that shit, but also like I just enjoy seeing what my friends and, you know, people that I'm interested in on social media, what they're just doing and what they're seeing and their perceptions on things. I love when people are snapping just when they're out and about. I don't know, I'm weird. I'm also probably kind of a stalker, which is kind of why. But it's been nice. Mostly I just wanted to cut back on my scroll time because I kind of caught myself, honestly, I caught my mental health kind of being affected by how many hours I was spending just switching back and forth between Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling until there was nothing left. And a lot of it was just really negative shit. A lot of the stuff on my Facebook wall is just negative news stories, and, you know, a lot of the shit I'm seeing on Twitter is negative, apart from, you know, I love the internet, man. I do. I love memes. I love trolling. I'm just, and it's hard, like, being away from all that. It's hard stepping away from that world that I've, like, immersed myself in. Did I say immersed? Immersed myself in. But at the same time, I was being negatively affected by it mental health wise. So I kind of had to take a million steps back. Also, not only am I on a social media cleanse, I'm on a comment section cleanse. Yes. If you're looking, by the way, because if you're looking for the shittiest part of society and of humanity, if you're looking for that, just look in the YouTube comment section. You'll find the 1% of fucking absolute horrible people. There's no shortage of them. And if you want to know where they are, they're in your YouTube comment section. So just do yourself a favor. I'm banning myself because I was getting in a lot of arguments with people on, people that I don't know, mind you, on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, just, I don't know, and I've never been that person before, but I would just see like a vile comment, or I would see someone idiotic say something so stupid it would make me upset, so I would just go on there and insult them and tell them that they're, you know, a waste of skin and a void in this universe, and that there's no hope for them, and that they should, you know, probably not procreate and create more of themselves. So, you know, not really putting anything good into the universe. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about standing up for what I believe in. I'm pretty sure anybody that knows me knows I've gotten myself into trouble more than enough times for standing up for something. Excuse me. Even when everybody else around me didn't necessarily think I should be speaking up about anything. So trust me, I am that bitch. But at the same time, some people, it's better just to not try to interact with, not try to change their minds, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are going down and they will drag anybody they can down with them. That's just the truth. And I am a believer that people can change and that there's good, honestly, probably in each individual person somewhere, that there's good, that there's creative thoughts and things to be made from their brain, and that, you know, they have worth just because they're breathing and that they deserve love. I believe that about every single person alive. I do. Don't get me wrong. However, I also believe in boundaries for the rest of us that have our empathy switch a little easier to turn on, I guess. What am I talking about? Like, where did this go? Something that I've talked quite a bit about on my social media lately, and I mean the past few years, really, I guess I should say, and just in my personal life with my friends and those close to me, is meditation. And, you know, I've talked a lot about how meditation has helped me and how mindfulness has helped me and how it's helped me to be as functional as I am and helped me with my mental illnesses as much as it has. And I used to talk a lot about my meditation streak, because if you don't know what I'm talking about, what I used to do was that I meditated on an app called Headspace every single day. I had a streak going on there that was almost 900 days. I was at like 800 and I don't know, like 60 something. And I let my streak die. I expected myself to be incredibly disappointed by the fact that I let my meditation streak die, because I don't know if you had ever read any of my posts about that, but I think I said something specifically about how every time I would hit a goal, like 500 or like, you know, 100 days, 500 days, I would say, you know, the next goal is 700, then 1,000, and then every day for the rest of my life. And I truly honestly did mean that. I truly honestly did mean that my full intention was to sit down and meditate every single day and to change my brain. Because the reality is that when I was looking over, because I get this question a lot from people too, why did I start meditating, and why did I start meditating the way that I did, and why did having a daily meditation mean so much to me at the time? And that's purely because when I started researching meditation, when I started reading books about meditation, when I started looking at the neuroscience and the brain scans and the studies that were coming out and are still coming out, the people whose prefrontal cortex seemed to change the most and whose, you know, brain chemistry and brains in general seemed to change the most were the people that had a consistent meditation practice. So that's what I wanted, especially at the time. There was this quote, I put this on something before, but there was this quote. I listened to this podcast. I think it was the guy that wrote 10% Happier. I think that's Dan Harris, right? I don't know. I was listening to his podcast, and I'm pretty sure that he had a teacher from, I think she's from NYU, and she teaches something, and they have like a mindfulness and like meditation center. They do some research and they do some like outreach with mindfulness and stuff, and it's really cool, but I wish I could remember her name. I know this is so well put together. Basically, she said that she gets asked a lot, how did she find meditation and why did she start meditating? And she said the same way that lots of other people did, through lots and lots of suffering. And that's something that has stuck with me ever since I heard it, because that is truly why I found meditation. I was in just such a dark place, and I was in so much pain, and I was truly suffering, and I needed something, especially since I don't consider myself a religious person, just because I don't agree with a lot of what I see presented in the religious community and in their doctrines and in their teachings. I needed something a little bit bigger than myself, and I needed my own sense of spirituality that was more focused on honestly what was directly in front of me, and that's what mindfulness is. And it's not based on any religion. It's not based on any, honestly, it doesn't even have to be based on anything spiritual. It is for me. I think it is for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be. There's enough of a scientific backing, and there's enough scientific evidence to prove that for a lot of people in the world, it's very helpful. And especially when it's combined with things like cognitive behavioral therapy and the correct pharmaceutical treatments, and, you know, and just your own personal commitment to your growth and to your personal well-being. I think it's possible. I mean, that's why I'm here, right? That's why I think I'm here. That's why I think I'm getting an education, and what I'm getting an education in, and why I'm choosing to talk about the things I'm choosing to talk about, and why I talk about such vulnerable things on my social media and on my Facebook. And even though people might be like, man, why is she writing on Instagram about insecurity, vulnerability, heartbreak, love? because that's what matters to me. Those are the most important things in the world. And I think society kind of puts a lot of shame on not talking about those things. But especially if you're male, or if you want to be perceived as not weak and you want to be perceived as strong, then, you know, why would you want to talk about anything that makes you feel vulnerable? But to me, that's where authentic human connection is made. Relating that back to meditation, since that's what I'm talking about. I wanted my brain to change. I needed my brain to change. I needed the physical connections to change. I needed my prefrontal cortex to change. I had to change. I wanted to change. And so I did. I began sitting down every single day for 10 minutes at first, and I do 15, and sometimes I do 20, sometimes I do 5 for several years now. I started meditating several years ago, and it did. It changed my life. And I was meditating every day for nearly 900 days on Headspace. I was listening to Andy's voice every single day. I enjoyed it. I did. The thing was, something kind of started to happen probably sometime after day 500. I want to do my eyes or the rest of my face makeup because I've been talking for quite a long time and I'm like nowhere near done. I guess I'll do my eyes first just in case we fuck up so bad that we've got to fix our face makeup, okay? You know what I think I want to use? I think I want to use the new Melt Cosmetics palettes. I know most of you will not probably care about this or know what I'm talking about, but these are my favorite at the moment, and I really splurged on myself to get these because my budget is extremely tight right now since I'm not working. But I bought the Gemini and the 27 palette from Melt Cosmetics a while ago, and I just recently bought the Smoke Sessions palette because I don't care if it's gimmicky, I need it! And I was so happy when it came in. It was a really special collection. I was really pleased to get it because some of the stuff that's limited edition, it just never comes back, man. And it's really shitty to us low incomers because we don't have the available income to just buy all of these limited edition purchases whenever the hell you decide that you're gonna release them, brands, and then you decide that they're never coming back. So even if I do decide to put a little bit of money back for something because I want to buy it, because I want to give you my freaking money, and it's never just coming back, anyway, that's a whole other rant. I could talk about that alone for a while. Back to meditation, back to the point. I noticed around day 500 or so maybe, my meditation routine started getting so routine. And you would think that would be a good thing because that is when your brain really does start to change, is when it becomes a routine, and that's when we really do function the best and produce the best things as humans, like, you know, according to research, is when we're on a steady routine and our brains and our bodies react well to that. Our metabolisms react well to that, right? But it was getting to the point to where I was sitting down to meditate just purely for my streak. And I wasn't necessarily sitting down for the purpose of checking in with myself and for the purpose of being mindful. And, you know, all the reasons that I decided to start meditating kind of flew out the window. The biggest pressure became, especially since I was kind of public about talking about meditation and I had a lot of friends that started doing meditation because of me, I started to feel a lot of pressure because I didn't want to let people down. I didn't want people to think like, oh, you know, and it's so funny how we talk about this in hindsight, because in the moment, had I told you I was doing things based on what other people would think about it, I would have told you, hell no, I'm meditating for me. This is my practice. Probably won't be seeing me do makeup on this channel all that often anymore, unless, you know, I feel like it. To me, I'm just going to be uploading, to be honest, I'm going to be uploading whatever the hell I want on this channel. So I've been feeling the urge to make music content. I've been feeling the urge to make mental health content. I've been feeling the urge to make lifestyle content. I've been feeling the urge to make content about organizing. I have not been feeling the urge to make content about speech or English. So yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe I will talk a little bit about makeup every now and again, talk about like favorite things that I'm using, but this definitely isn't going to be a makeup education channel like what I originally thought I wanted. But that's okay. As kind of like a side note to that, I mean, a lot of you probably know that I moved to Texas with the intention of going to medical school, which is, I laugh at that because that's so funny, because I feel like most people that know me now would know that I would not want to do that now. You know, nothing against people that end up going that route. I'm friends with a lot of people that went that route. Just as my time as a pre-med undergrad, I met a lot of really cool people that did go on to go to medical school or are currently in medical school. I realized pretty quickly that that was not for me. Medical school. How can I say this? So in the US, most of you probably know, because I'm pretty sure 100% of you watching live there, our medical system sucks, to put it as nicely as I possibly can. Most people that need medical coverage can't afford to get it and are punished for that fact. And it's outrageously expensive even if you have insurance. I mean, that's where I'm at right now. Like, I have hundreds of dollars of medical bills pouring in right now, and I'm just like, maybe next time you pay me to take my blood, maybe, no? It's stressful, and my perception on things changed when I flared really severely last time. I mean, maybe I'll go into this in more detail, but for those people that know me, know that I went through a really serious health flare several years ago that had me bedridden for several years. It was at least a full year that I was bedridden, and that it was just constant full body hives and full body swelling and angioedema and pain. It was horrible. It was horrifying, and I was completely debilitated. And I saw the medical system from a fresh set of eyes during that experience. I saw so much red tape, and I saw so much just political bullshit, and it was because of that I just decided I didn't want to do that anymore. You know, I get questions about that a lot too, just because a lot of people know that I moved here for that. And to be honest, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that I figured this out sooner, because I think a part of me wouldn't have stopped grinding and would have been so disappointed in myself for not being able to succeed, when in reality, that was not the right plan for me. That was not where I would have been happiest. Just keeping it real, guys, medical students are mean. They're mean. Doctors are mean. They're all nice people. But regardless of that, it's not necessarily about helping anybody anymore. It's not necessarily about trying to find the root cause of anything anymore. It's about how many patients can I see in a day, and how fast can I get in and out of there, and you know, what can I give them that'll get them out of my face for a while? And it sucks. And I was just so disappointed. And sure, you'd probably think, like, I've had people tell me, like, yeah, but this is motivation for, you know, why you should go change it. I appreciate that. I do. I feel that way more so about our mental health system, which is why I do want to be involved. That's something that I do feel the passion to kind of help in. The medical system, not so much. It's too much. It just takes people and it chews them up and it spits them out. And if you research the suicide rates among medical students and medical doctors, it's honestly an epidemic, and it's so sad and it's awful, because they feel so stuck and they can't reach out to get mental health, and they can't be medicated, and they can't say that they're struggling, and they can't say that they're suicidal, and it's a real problem. So that is why I decided not to go on to medical school. I do want to go to professional school. I do, like I said earlier, I do think I want to go ahead and get my master's, and maybe one day I'll get my doctorate in clinical psychology. I mean, probably not, because our education system is also shit here. Insanely expensive. Any education here is insanely expensive, which is unfortunate, but that's the hand we were dealt for now. So we shall see. But in having said that, no shade or disrespect to anyone that chose to go that way. If you feel the urge to go eat that shit sandwich, if you know what that's from, shit sandwich, that's from a book called Big Magic, which is like my favorite book. But she basically talks about, it's about creativity and living a creative life. She talks about how sometimes you love something enough to eat a shit sandwich, and so you have to find something that you love so much that you're willing not only to eat your shit sandwich so that you can do the work, but the person next to you, if that meant being able to do more of that creative work, right? So it's like, for Elizabeth Gilbert, she would go through the process of being rejected by, hundreds of publishers when she would send in her work, because it meant that she got to keep writing, and she wasn't going to stop until she died, basically, until someone forced her to stop. And eventually she was successful because she continued to just get better and better because she practiced, and that was her shit sandwich, but then she met other writers along the way who didn't enjoy the work and who felt constantly defeated by it and felt that their art was the death of them, and kind of fell into that like starving artist mindset, and that doesn't appeal to her, and it doesn't appeal to me anymore either, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And that's another reason why I had to walk away from my serving job, unfortunately, is because I was grinding really hard, and I was a great server, don't get me wrong. It was a pleasure to be the lunch crowd server for as long as I was, and I loved my regulars and I really enjoyed my job. But at the same time, I was grinding for something, and I was waking up and I was crying, putting on my clothes and putting my body through a lot of excess pain and stress. And for what? For burgers and beers. Yes, to support myself. Yes, to pay my bills and bring home money and so on. But at the same time, not anything that sustains me long term. That's the kind of grind that unfortunately isn't going to get me very far. It's going to get me past the day. It's going to get me past the week on my current budget, but it's not the kind of grinding that's going to help me later on. Unfortunately, I'm having to, and fortunately, I shouldn't even say unfortunately, because maybe it's a good thing. I'm having to take a million steps back, and I'm having to look at what's important and look at why I'm grinding and look at for who I am grinding and look at myself and for my health and for everything that I'm experiencing right now. Am I making the best decisions for myself? Am I taking care of myself the best that I could? And the answer working that job was no. So, I got to find something where I'm not on my feet, or maybe I can work from home, or I'm using more of my creative side and I'm using more of my brain and less of my physical capabilities, just because it's too much, and that's okay. You know what I mean? I guess I'm just trying to say, if I'm gonna eat a shit sandwich, it's gotta be a shit sandwich that has more to do with burgers and beer. It's gotta be a shit sandwich that has some heart in it. Almost done with my face. I'm going to rush through the end of this so I can stop yammering, because I have a feeling I've been talking for a long time, and hopefully there's something to rummage through of this and make a coherent video out of. But I mean, I guess we'll see. Something else I wanted to talk about is the reason that I stopped making content. I've gotten a lot of questions because some of my friends remember that I used to write a blog. It was a personal blog where I just talked about my personal experiences, and I talked about mental health and crazy shit that I've learned and crazy shit that I've been through. And I had a handful of people, not a lot. I'm not like bragging, I promise. I had a handful of people just in my like friend group and in my circle that actually enjoyed it and enjoyed my old YouTube videos about makeup and stuff, and have asked where I went, have asked why I stopped creating stuff, and kind of delved into that a little bit. Is delved a word? I kind of dove into that a little bit with the health stuff, because that had a lot to do with it. But I went through a lot of stuff emotionally over the last couple years that I feel comfortable talking about now. I didn't feel comfortable talking about this for a long time. As a matter of fact, I stopped everything. I dropped that Twitter account that had 800 followers. I had to completely step back from everything. And if I'm honest about the reason why, it's because I went through something really, really, really traumatic. And I went through something really hard a couple years ago. And I hope I'm not saying this for any kind of attention, because I'm okay now. I'm healed. I'm in a happy, healthy situation. I'm safe. I have a home. I have built a home with people that I feel safe around and that love me. So before I talk about this, I want you to know that you don't have to be worried, and you don't have to feel pity for me. More than anything, feel proud of me and feel that if I can get through some of this stuff, that means if you're going through something similar, you can too. I'm going to try to get through this without getting emotional. I will not be that bitch that cries on YouTube. But yeah, the reason that I stopped, the reason that I took my blog down, and the reason that I stopped making YouTube videos is that I was in a very toxic and abusive relationship for a couple years after moving to Texas, and it took a huge toll on me. And this person, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking ill about this person, just because simply I don't wish ill on this person. I simply just wish for this person to give me as much space as humanly possible. It was a really bad situation, and I lost a lot of parts of myself that used to really make me happy. Maybe I shouldn't be putting eyeliner on when I'm talking about this. Girls got work to do, you know what I'm saying? I started to lose parts of myself during that time, and I started to shut down parts of myself because it was just too painful. And that's normal for people going through trauma. Now looking back, I know why I kind of fell into that situation. I know why I was attracted to someone like that. I know why I was so easily manipulated, and I accept like my own responsibility in that. I accept the fact that my extremely low self-worth really is what led me to that point, because I thought I deserved what I was experiencing. And I do want to say, for anyone that's in or that's ever been in or loved someone that's been in a domestic situation that was less than safe, or that was abusive, or that was toxic, or had a lot of whatever it is, if you argued a lot, whatever it may be, I feel like there's this judgment in the world about like, why won't you just leave? Why would you deal with that? Why won't she just go? Or why won't he just go? And if the situation is the reverse, I know a lot of guys that have been in some toxic, abusive, nasty relationships with women too. So don't take this as I'm favoring one side over the other. Regardless, the position is always like, why won't they just leave? Why won't they just go? And I just want to say, I was that person too. I said those things too. I didn't understand why women stayed, why men stayed, why they stayed. And I looked at my mother, if I'm real honest with you, and this is something I've said to her too, which is why I feel comfortable saying it here. This isn't any tea, I promise. I watched my mother go through a lot, and I thought, why does she stay? Why does she do this? Why won't she just walk away? And then when I was in that situation myself, I learned a few things, and I'm going to tell you a couple of the things that I learned. One of the things that I learned is that it happens so gradually sometimes, the level of abuse, that you don't necessarily realize what's happening. So for me, and I think for a lot of people, it doesn't necessarily start with outright beating, with outright slapping across the face, with outright insults or throwing anything. That didn't happen to me until way later in the relationship. Way later. What started first was comments that hurt, comments that were just painful enough to do damage, but not outright insulting enough for me to be able to justify blowing up over, if that makes sense. I feel like people that have been around manipulative narcissists know what I'm talking about. Language that makes you feel like trash, language that makes you feel like you need to walk around on eggshells and that you can't express yourself because you aren't safe. And you know, it happened so slowly over time, and then my self-worth was so low to begin with, and then it just continued to get lower, and I thought more and more and more that I deserved how I was being treated. It took me a really long time, and it took me being financially stable on my own 2 feet and having friends that did care about me and that did give a damn for me to realize that I deserved better and that I wanted better and that I had to walk away and that I had to stop enabling that person and taking care of that person. And so, you know, I don't want to get too heavy into that situation unless that's something that someone would like me to talk more in depth about, because I truly don't mean this from a negative perspective. I learned a lot from, oh bitch, you did not blend out. You fucking, oh no, was anybody gonna tell me? I learned a lot from that situation, and if I hadn't been in that situation, I wouldn't have met a lot of the people that I know now. I wouldn't have met my boyfriend, my current boyfriend. I wouldn't have met my roommate. I wouldn't have probably got that job. It had to happen, and it helped me appreciate a lot about healthy relationships, and it helped me learn a lot about myself and about boundaries and respect and codependency and addiction, and it taught me a lot. But so that's what I just wanted to say. I just wanted to say that, like, it just, before you ask someone why they stay, just realize that you don't know the whole picture. You don't know the level of control and manipulation that abuser has over that person, and ultimately it has to be their choice. And I've realized that all you really can do for people in those situations is kind of be in the background and tell them that you love them and remind them to reinforce boundaries when you can, and remind them that they're worth more than that. And when they decide to go, be there for them. You know, when they decide that they're strong enough, when they decide that they need help, be there. Because I can't tell you how many times I made this mistake before I was in this, where I put people in ultimatums in those situations, and they always chose their abuser. You know what I mean? They always do. So I know that got like kind of dark and kind of real fast, but I think that it's important. And I do get that question a lot. People ask me, you know, what happened? What happened? Where did you go? And you know, that's the truth. I had someone in my life that told me that I was no good, that my writing was no good, that my videos were no good, that no one cared, that I was never going to make anything anyway. And I believed him. I believed him over time, and I believed that my writing was no good. I believed my videos were no good, and I believed that no one cared. And it's taken me a long time to crawl back out of that. Because it is. That is abuse, by the way. If you are with someone, whether they're a friend, whether they're a boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever it may be, and if they make you feel less of yourself, if they make you feel bad about yourself on a regular basis, if they tell you things like that, that is abuse. That is verbal abuse. That is relationship abuse. And it's toxic. And it's so funny how our brains make us think it's okay because what? Because they love us? Because we would be lonely if they weren't around? Because we think that we can't do better? That's a lie. It's a lie, and it's a lie that we tell ourselves to keep ourselves in these situations. And a lie that they tell us to keep us in these situations. Sorry for getting like all deep and like therapy-esque on you guys, but I think it's important to talk about because sadly, I'm no pioneer in this, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of this going on. I know a lot of people that have been in these situations. I know a lot of people that are currently in these situations, that are in relationships with people who aren't healthy. And, you know, that's okay. It's okay to admit, and it's okay to admit that you're the unhealthy one and to step aside and do work on yourself. Like, in my current relationship, that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, I guess, I remember this girl that I was kind of trying to talk to that was leaving a very abusive relationship. She said that I was so lucky because I had Brandon and, you know, I wasn't totally alone and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I am so lucky to have Brandon. At the same time, though, being with Brandon, especially while being in recovery from being in a domestic relationship like that, was harder because I had more expectation to be healthy. I had more pressure. Do you know what I mean? Because the fact of the matter is being in a healthy relationship requires a lot of work, especially to those of us that have trauma in our background from our childhoods, from previous relationships, from unresolved just bullshit that we have. Happiness is work. Relationships are work for most of us. Very few of us get to just do that naturally. So, you know, I told her that it was even harder to be in recovery and to be in a relationship, that it would be easier to be single. And the only reason that I'm not is because I happen to find someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with. Had it been any other person that I would have met, I probably wouldn't have done it. And it's funny because anyone that knows us during that time knows that that's the exact, like, part of the exact reason why we wouldn't put a label on what we were for months. And people would call us boyfriend and girlfriend and we'd be like, this is not my boyfriend, this is not my girlfriend. And now I realize how stupid we sounded because we were monogamous and dating long before we said we were. And that's part of the reason why, is because I was scared. I was scared to put a label on it because I didn't want to move on too quickly and I didn't want to get hurt again. And he didn't want to get hurt either, you know? It's scary. Love is fucking terrifying. Oh, sorry, that was the cat. Love is fucking terrifying. Cats are fucking terrifying. We do it, and I did it. I signed up again, even though I had just gotten my ass kicked in the love arena. I signed up to get my ass kicked again, and I'm so glad that I did because anyone that knows Brandon, if you're lucky enough to know Brandon, you know how lucky I am. Because everyone that meets Brandon loves Brandon. And I'm not gonna cry, but I'm so lucky. I really am. So that's why I wanted to say, like, please don't like pity me or feel bad for me because I'm in a much better place now. And we still have problems. Like, don't get me wrong, we have shit that we have to work on. We both came from situations that weren't extremely healthy. And so we had to teach ourselves a lot of this stuff, you know? But that's okay because he was willing to stay and do the work and I was willing to stay and do the work, and that's all that it really takes sometimes, whether this is my forever person or not, which of course I hope that it is, but whether it is or not, I'm just glad that I'm with someone that helps me grow and that makes me want to be a better version of myself. And I feel like that's honestly all you can really ask for, and that's sweet. Oh my god, this was so cheesy. Oof. I think I just need mascara and lip product, and I think that we're done. So I'm going to hop off camera and do my eyelashes, and then I will be right back. Did I show you my beanie? It's a neat dude beanie. My friend Maggie got it for me. Oh no. I guess I'll show you why I'm wearing a beanie. It's because my hair is a mess. I guess that's one of the last things I was going to talk about in closing. 1, I need a quieter chair. 2, I've been showing you my widow's peak this entire video. I hope you aren't offended. And 3, I joined the natural brigade. So not only do I really hardly ever wear false lashes anymore, except for like on special occasions. I guess I'll show you a close up of what our eye look looks like in my scar face. You should see the other guy being Fiona. Yeah, I also started joining the Naturally Curly Hair Squad. So I have not done any heat on my hair in, I think, like 6 months now. I'm very proud. My hair has gotten very long. This is all mine. All I pretty much have left is lips. Basically just gonna finish this with some quick lip liner and maybe some gloss if I can find one. Alright, you guys, I think that is our finished look. I'm not going anywhere. I literally put this on just to wash it off later. We had fun, right? We had a good time. Honestly, I enjoy playing with makeup so much that I don't mind putting it on to go nowhere. This is why I do makeup now, that I don't do it professionally anymore and that I don't do it for educational purposes. This is why I do it. I do it to have fun, and I do it to feel good about myself and to feel creative. I really appreciate you watching and listening this far. I appreciate you listening to me ramble for however long this is going to be. I'm going to try to edit it down as much as I can and still hope that something is here that makes sense. But I appreciate you watching this far, and I just wanted to say, if you would like to see any more of this, if you want to see something different, I would really just appreciate some discussion. I mean, the most encouraging thing would just be some interaction. So I mean, if you would just let me know in the comments, or honestly, if you really wanted to help me, the best way would be to share this video, and maybe one of your friends in your social group is interested in self-help and mental health and meditation. And you know, I'm a firm believer that people come for the content and stay for the people. So if you really want to help me out, whatever you feel comfortable doing, that's what would help me the most, because that's what would be able to help me make more content and maybe get me a little bit farther along in what I would like to do, so we can talk with more guides and make some more friends. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess that's it. I should have probably recorded the intro looking like this and not like the rat like I did at the beginning. I guess you got to see a steady progression of how I transform. I'm gonna go before I bore you all to death, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, friends, and I will see you soon to talk about something else super deep and personal and probably reveal too much information again. Okay, bye.
Wait, I forgot. There's always gonna be one handsome guy that watches my videos. One handsome boy. Yeah, I'll listen to you do your makeup, Mom. Thanks for turning me into Scarface Fiona for my video.